me. And very quickly, we'll go into our discussion. I did say that we'll be looking at the emergence of the R-APC, known as Reformed APC, a split group from the APC. Well, this, as sensitive as it is, will be attracting personalities on this discussion. And also, we take a dive to look at the Supreme Court judgment on Saraki's case, where 18 counts of charges of false asset declaration have been dropped. He has been discharged and acquitted. And that was great news on Friday last week. And it greeted the whole city in Ilorin as you saw supporters moving to the palace to celebrate this. Well, we're discussing this on TMI Sunday, and I will start from my extreme left, where I have a very young gentleman who happens to be a crusader for good governance, and he is known for his erudite and articulate nature in terms of marshalling out issues pertaining to how the governance in the country can be governized. He's no one else but Faluyi Isibo. Many thanks for coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right. And next, I have an NDCP chieftain and one-time governorship candidate in Edo State, Comrade Cosmos Irabo.
Thank you so much. Good morning, viewers.
Comrade Cosmos Irabo is also a legal practitioner. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Well, on a good note, I would say great to have you join me. It's been quite a while, Faluyi Isibo.
Yes, you're right.
All right.
I'm glad to be back home.
All right, great, great. You're looking at the trend of what has been taking place in the country, most especially as internal democracy has been a very big challenge in political parties in the country. Now we have a split group, Reformed APC. What do you make of this?
Well, like you said, internal democracy has been the bane on the growth of politics in Nigeria, and there was a sense in which we were expecting, a transformation or a metamorphosis of this trouble amongst our political parties, where we had the constitutional democracy enshrined in party democracy, in line with the rule of law, where everything has to be done the way it should be done. But we also expected to see this kind of disaster in the ruling party, because many Nigerians believe that they were built to scatter. And so the scattering we see now is in line with the prophecy that came, and this is just the beginning. The APC, as presently constituted, even when they got into government, were an unstable group of people, and now we're seeing the different groups of people, the different ideologies of the people settle out, but they have a common agreement, even with those who are still in the larger APC, that the government has failed. There has been a catastrophic failure of governance, and that is why those of them who see themselves as patriotic Nigerians are speaking out and speaking up. It has gone beyond partisanship. Now it's more of patriotism. Nigerians are saying, what many people have agreed to be more or less the worst form of government we've had since. And so, for the sake of Nigerians, for the sake of the people, for the sake of our future, let us speak out now. Let us condemn what is wrong, and let us move away from the sinking ship. And that's what they've done, and we give them credence to the boldness, to doing this, because we've seen the case where of receding freedoms in Nigeria. So when politicians, of very high repute, like Buba Galadima, coming out to speak up, he has always been outspoken, right from his days as the youth leader of the NPN. So when he became financial secretary of the NRC, and he was a frontline member of the APC, he was the national secretary of the CPC. So one cannot put away such men who have been in the system for long and who are bold, who are known to be bold, speaking out and speaking against failed leadership. I think that was patriotic, and the Nigerians generally hold the view that they have done the right thing.
Well, you spoke about failed leadership on the part of the APC-led government.
Yes.
And you also spoke about the people in the party not being stable. But let's look at the main opposition party, which also had this crisis. This that is happening in APC is not strange because it also happened in the main opposition party.
Well, the reason why it happened then is a lot different from why it's happening now. It happened then because some people felt that the president at the time didn't need to run for re-election, not because his government had failed. They felt it was time for power to shift to a different region, and when the president held the view that he still wanted to run, they said, okay, we're going to leave you, and that was why they left. But now, that is not the case. There's an obvious failure of leadership, unable to fulfill campaign promises, unable to protect the lives of Nigerians, unable to provide education for Nigerians, unable to provide healthcare for Nigerians. In every sector of the economy, there's poor performance. And that is why good men are speaking up. You know, so it is completely different from what happened in the PDP, where they left for certain personal reasons. These are not personal reasons. The reasons, I mean, we watched the press briefing of Buba Galadimawa and Kao Baraje, and we saw that the germane issues we're putting forth are the same concerns that Nigerians generally have. We're having mindless killings on a maybe daily basis in Nigeria, and it doesn't appear to bother the president. That is failure of leadership. Today, Nigeria has the highest number of poor people in the world. It doesn't appear to bother the president. Okay,
but there was a time we had a challenge, economic recession, and we were able to pull out from that. Wasn't that in the time of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well,
and shouldn't that be a laudable achievement?
No, I mean, every country who falls into a recession finds a way out of it. And what got us into the recession in the first place? Wrong policies, wrong economic decisions, wrong political decisions. That's what got us there. So they had to put their acts together, and it took them a while to get out of it. But then nobody should praise you for doing something wrong and then changing your mind to do something right. That's your own failure, so you should own it. You know, so, but the fact is that there are more hungry Nigerians today than it has ever been since creation of Nigeria. Apart from that, there are more hungry Nigerians today than there are anywhere else in the world. That is a reason for the government in power not to continue. That is a reason for them to hide their heads in shame, because on what basis then are you going to campaign?
Okay, let me pause you there. I think you heard what Oli said, but the aspect of internal democracy, do you see it as the lacking of internal democracy in political parties? Don't you see this as also rubbing on the main opposition party?
Well, the main opposition party had issues like that. But you see, the magnitude is what the issue is. I was a legal advisor to AMPP before the merger. When the merge, automatically we were grouped into the legal section of APC. And then I remember quite well, we had a candidate who was to contest. The candidate was already our candidate in AMPP. So we expected that for the election to take place, I'm talking of internal democracy now, for the election to take place, you bring all the candidates in the major parties, and then you conduct a primaries. After that, you not get who to. But what we saw, I stand to be quoted, was a situation where they just put the name of the then ACN per se as the candidate. And then we asked why. They say that's the way they want to do it. I remember that guy, I brought him to this station to protest. So that's by the wayside. You see, the thing is, out of nothing, nothing comes out. APC has been a party that is anchored on purely and total lack of internal democracy, as far as I'm concerned. Even if you watch the way they do things, the elections of this, nothing like primaries. They say people will gather and the elders will gather and pick who they want to pick. But if you watch section text 20, subsection 1-2 of APC constitution, it doesn't put it that way. The constitution states that the people, either there's primaries, where everybody will stand and vote, or even if it's going to be a consensus candidate, everybody must gather and say yes or no. But you don't see that. I'm sure that's the same thing that replicated itself all over the nation. That's why you see issues like that. And that's you discover that APC is a party of strange bedfellows. They came together for the purpose of winning the election. They won the election. After winning the election, what is next?
But will you limit that to APC? Because there appears in Nigerian politics, it appears like a lot of persons go out to be elected in public offices for the purpose of taking it as a political business. So will you limit that to the APC alone? Is it not cutting across other parties?
Wait, you see, I discovered that, yes, when PDP came, they had their issues. No man is perfect. But if you check, I am not in PDP. I'm of the NDCP. I am not in APC, but I was in APC. You discover that if you want to judge a man, you judge him by his antecedents, what he has done. I want to state categorically here that what PDP has done in this nation, APC does not even have, with due respect to them, the capability to do it, not if they will ever do it.
Well, this is not a place where
I'm not saying that. You say, yes, I'm not casting blame. You say we are judging on what.
But if you are saying that, you can also remember vividly where there were issues about the insurgency, the Boko Haram issue that was to some extent decimated by the present leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari. Are you forgetting that?
If you say to an extent, it's the word is subjective. If I am a man, my name is Cosmos, and I decide to change what I'm putting on that you know me with, does not mean I'm not Cosmos. There's this book, this what do you call it? I've forgotten this writer's name, who said if a rose, you change the name of rose flower to Anthony flower, so to say, William Shakespeare, it does not mean that the smell does not remain the same. The smell remains the same. Today, is there still killing? That's the question you ask. Is there still killing today?
Is it not possible that it's been politicized?
I don't know what you mean by being politicized, but I ask the question, are there still killing today? The way during the Boko Haram and now, is the killing more? Those who are perpetrating this killing, are they from the same region, so to say? So, my brother, let's leave that. I told you, I say, it is not being politicized, it is political. I know what I mean by that. You see, for you to say internal democracy in the party, or if it's all run, in my party, so to say, there's nothing like, there's serious internal democracy. But if you check,
he's expected you say that.
Yes, expected I say that
because
I understand.
You must defend your party.
Yes, it's not defending my party. I'm saying what the obvious is. Now, listen. If a man, a head of a political party, conducted his election, in the same election he conducted, he was seen to have lost the election. Before the result was announced, he congratulated his opponent. I think that person deserves applaud, and by extension his party. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
But there's a situation where, if you check, when the same party was in Nigeria, when they were in power, those they picked have been corrupt, were members of their party. They say you are corrupt, arrested, they were members of the party. And this same party established the same bodies to fight corruption that this same party is using. There was not like persecution, there was prosecution. So if you want to look at it, you see a party that has deceived the masses and gained the vote and confidence of the masses.
Well,
I'm not mentioning any party.
Opinion.
It's my opinion. I'm not mentioning that.
Yes.
Gain the confidence of the party.
Okay.
You come into power and you are doing exactly what you said you will not do. For the fact that some people are the head of it, does not mean that everybody will toe that line, even if they are the same party. It gets to a stage, some will say, no, we can no longer continue this. This was not the intention of this. That's why you are getting what you are getting. I applaud Galadima so much. And by extension, it's obvious that Osoma is not a factional leader.
Okay, let me pause you there. Back to Falusivo. Some believe and argue that, well, this aspect of the APC, people who are in the APC, who you refer to as unstable people, some have this argument that these persons were formerly in the PDP, and it's like bringing the attitude of the PDP into the APC, like having an old wine in a new bottle. That's the argument. What do you make of that?
Well, I would agreeably disagree with that argument. And the reason is this. The leader of this breakaway group has never been associated with the PDP. In fact, he was the national secretary of the CPC, President Buhari's party, that formed the APC. According to him, he's one of the 9 signatories that birthed the APC. So he has no history of being in the PDP. So then we can disagree with that argument.
You're talking about him.
Yes.
What about the others?
No, but that's why I said I would agree
in indoctrinating him to take this decision.
No, it can't be so. Because if you look at it, all those who were listed as the new ESCO members of the R-APC, more than 60% of them were never in the PDP. And we are seeing the few reasonable ones who are bothered about the future of Nigeria speak up against failed leadership. That is what I want us to hammer on, failed leadership. And let us, as much as possible, remove politics or political sentiments from it. What are the issues, what are the reasons why they're leaving? Are they germane reasons? Is it true that there is a catastrophic disaster in the governance of Nigeria today? Yes. Is it true that the failures from the Aso Villa have spread across the different ministries and different MDAs, even to the state where they control? Yes. Can you not see that the governors of the PDP are those in the business of commissioning projects today? Are we not worried that the APC governors appear not to be doing anything?
When you say the governors in the PDP
yes.
are in the business of
commissioning projects regularly. That's what we see on TV every day, on the papers.
Okay.
We see it's either Delta State today, or it's Akwa Ibom, or it's Cross Rivers, or it's Taraba,
Rivers,
or it's River State. That is what Nigerians are seeing, and that is why the average Nigerian who was not bothered about voting in 2015 is so bothered right now to get his PVC, because there has to be a change of government. This is not me, the politician, talking, but on behalf of the average Nigerian who doesn't care about politics.
Okay, but
wouldn't it be better?
Yeah, wouldn't it be a very hasty statement when you say that the PDP governors are commissioning projects? Because if you look at the Edo State governor, if you look at the Lagos State governor, and several others also show same.
Okay, I hold the Edo State governor in very high esteem. I think he's a smart man. I think he's an intelligent man. But I would disagree very sharply with you if we're going to conclude by any chance that he's commissioning projects. What Edo people can agree is that he's signing MOUs. That we can see clearly. But MOUs are not projects. We've seen MOUs being signed from the beginning of his government. At what point, at what time did they materialize? He promised 200,000 jobs. Today, how many have been created? If we break 200,000 jobs, that's 4,136 jobs every month. Have they created a tenth of that in the last 2 years?
Well, this is not a place where we have to do that because we don't have the right panelists
you're right.
to really tackle this.
No, I was disagreeing.
But let's look at the aspect, let's look at the national level. Let's look at the aspect where for the past 16 years,
yes.
PDP took over governance at the federal level.
Yes.
Would you say, comparatively, that what the PDP has brought to bear has really brought succor to the Nigerians?
My brother, it is visible to the blind and audible to the deaf. When PDP handed over power, Nigeria was the fastest growing economy in Africa, one of the fastest in the world, GDP of single digits maintained for about 4 or 5 years, were the #1 destination for foreign investments in Africa. We were respected. We had our economies growing, leading other African nations. I would shed tears if I was going to give you those same statistics today. It is a complete opposite of what it was. And it's not because Nigerians have changed. There was a change, just like Lamido said, that the president has reduced Nigeria to this level. What better explanation can we give? Today, Nigeria is not the fastest growing economy in West Africa. Before, we were #1 in Africa. In West Africa, we're not the fastest growing one. We are not the top destination for investment in West Africa.
But you seem to put all the blame on the president.
But do you
forget that the Federal Republic of Nigeria is composed of 36 states, and these 36 states are manned by 36 governors.
Yes.
And most of
the
these
president
governors,
is an embodiment of the nation.
we have the PDP governors.
Yeah.
we have the APC, and so all of this bring to bear.
It will get to a point.
Will bring to the level
national
of
level.
Yeah, national level. So would so it would be wrong if you are blaming the president on this.
No, let me tell you why.
We have a monopoly.
Let me tell you why it is so. Why it has to be so. The nation has a leader, a political leader, who takes decisions on behalf of the country. Governors have their own microstates where they manage. But on behalf of the nation, we have a leader. If that leader fails, no matter what any governor does, the nation will fail. And that is why Nigeria is failing today. Lagos may be doing okay. Rivers may be doing okay. A couple of other states may be doing okay, but is the nation doing okay? Are Nigerians happier today? The gross happiness index has reduced to the lowest level of Nigerians today. Today we have young little children who go to school hungry, who go to bed hungry. It was never the case. If we're going to compare, in fairness to the APC and to the records of the PDP, there has been a disaster under the APC.
Okay, let me pause you there.
There's no sector, sir. There's no sector the APC has done better. There's none.
Okay, let me pause you there.
Even in fighting corruption.
Let me pause you there because I don't believe that we have verifiable statistics at our disposal now.
I've given you some.
To talk about this in a logical way. But let's look at the aspect of the diversification of the economy by President Muhammadu Buhari, the aspect of the Anchor Borrowers Program, which tends to release money for farmers, and the agricultural projects so far. Don't you see this as laudable, which wasn't done before?
You see, before we had Operation Feed the Nation, it was purely agric. We had Back to Land, that was during the time of MPN, agric. You see, the problem with it is, you say something, do you implement it? How many of them have been implemented? How many farms?
The Anchor Borrowers Program, is it not being implemented?
Well, I don't know about that. Let's talk of agric.
Okay, what about even the aspect of feeding school children? Because he may mention all the fact that a lot of children go to school hungry. But what about the aspect of the school feeding program?
You asked questions, let me answer your questions. In the first instance, is it not commonsensically dry for a nation to say we want to start feeding students? Do you concentrate on giving fish or teaching people how to buy fish, how to catch fish? Was anybody fed in Edo State?
No.
And how long did they do that? Now, if you say it's a national program, how come in some states and not in some states? And does it make sense at all that you are pumping such a huge amount of money to feed pupils? Another thing, what's the quality of the food? Who gets the contract? Is it a genuine program, or is it a program calculated at further siphoning the already finished purse of the nation? If you say you are back to a Greek program, let's reduce it to Edo State. How many farms do you have in Edo State being run by government? And that is it even wise to even talk of government running farms? If you say you want to make it purely, you want to encourage private people into farming, what are the environments that you have created?
Okay, but no one said that government is running farms.
No, that's what I'm saying now.
That's not what is on board.
Look, listen,
what is on board
coming
is
back to
government raising agripreneurs, government helping farmers who are on the ground to ensure that the agricultural projects are on board.
Listen,
the government doesn't really do this directly.
Listen, you see, I told you, I said I am not aware of that. You know why I made that statement? I know so many people that have applied that didn't get anything. Even the few people that they tend to have given this thing to, they are not even farmers. They are political associates.
You don't have records to verify that.
I say the ones I know, my personal opinion, the ones I know. That's why I told you, I said I'm not aware of that. And I'm very sure my co-panelists here will tell the same line. It's all political issue. Completely everything, nothing is working. I have to tell you the truth. You see, you the monitor, you know. Let's call a spade a spade. What is working? A situation where somebody who is supposed to represent his constituency, a House of Rep member, is doing his best by providing street lights and everything. You are going to pull them out because you feel that he's from another political party, just to further support your bastardized statement
Well,
that,
I must say that we have to be careful with what
no,
we say.
listen,
Your presentation matters a lot.
You say, I stand to be quoted.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because it was even aired where people, government apparatus going to pull down, tear down projects done by some other people. It is wrong. The people enjoying it are Nigerians, and they're even your party members there. They are idolites. It is wrong. These are verifiable. Go and find out.
Yes, but you must ensure that you don't use foul words.
Oh, that's because, if I use them.
It's important that
I'm
we
sorry
are
about
guarded.
that. But you see, Nigerians are not happy. Why? I told you. I said I was in the APC. That means I voted for APC. Nigerians, when I'm APC, Buhari, Nigerians are not happy. This is not what Nigerians expected.
Okay, we'll come back to what.
You see, you know why people say, they'll say PDP had this. How come we are complaining now? You see, if you bring anything to issue, then that will be dealt with. You said you were going to fight corruption. Nigerians expected a genuine fight of corruption, but as we speak now, not a single one. All is persecution. You said you were going to make sure that power problem comes to an end. We cannot be staying in darkness and all that. Today, do we have power? Stable electricity? Nothing. You said there's going to be food on the table. Today, virtually everybody, apart from them themselves who are there, the bourgeoisies, they are hungry.
Okay.
You said fuel is supposed to be 15 naira. Today, fuel is 150 naira. At times, 300-400 naira. So where do you think anybody will want to stand or queue behind this so-called the leadership of this administration?
Thank you. Well, he spoke about the power issue. He spoke about a fuel crisis. But all of this were issues that were inherited by the present leadership.
Well, again, we'll have to disagree very sharply on that. I had an issue with the promises that the APC made during the campaigning period. Any discerning man would have known that these were promises that they didn't have the capacity to fulfill. And then we were worried, why should you tell barefaced lies to Nigerians to swindle them and to steal their votes? But because Nigerians wanted a better life, some of them were carried away by the promises made by flippant members of the party, and they gave them their votes. Those Nigerians are regretting today because they bought lies, and that is why we are sensitizing the people not to buy lies any longer.
How are you able to carry that statistics that those Nigerians are regretting today?
No, they are, because we can see it on the faces of Nigerians. First of all,
but you can only determine that when the next election comes.
Let me tell you why
is conducted.
Okay,
because if you look at what before now, a big question here is, before now, the leadership of former President Goodluck Jonathan was on, and the people decided to take a shift from former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration and chose President Muhammadu Buhari. If it was okay, if things were working well, would they have done that?
First of all, many still believe that the elections that brought President Muhammadu Buhari was not free and fair. Many hold that view. Many feel that in some states the votes were manipulated. And
from that age voting?
Yes.
Under the then leadership of Goodluck Jonathan?
Yes, many hold that view. And they have enough reasons to hold the view even till today. But let's put that aside. Those who voted for the present government felt that there was a need. Let us try these other guys. But their promises look
if things were working
beautiful.
well, they wouldn't say
no,
that.
But that is how it is in every democracy. There's always a plan to move from party to party. Let us so as to get the best. It's not because what the Democrats were giving was total hogwash, but let us try the Republicans. That is what democracy provides. And so I was particularly glad that yes, power was shifting, because I felt that we were becoming too comfortable too with power. Let us try some others. Let us see how it's going to be. But that there's a general regret. And why did I say so? We've seen a listing of all the promises made by the APC, made by the government, and none, not one, has been accomplished. First of all, if they were bold enough to at least reduce the fuel price from what it was when Jonathan left, Nigerians would have felt, okay, at least this one, they did well here. But it went over 100%, even 200 in some states. that alone should tell the average thinking Nigerian that all is not well.
Okay, let's look at the three cardinal objectives of the APC-led government. First, let's look at the aspect of security. As at the time they took over governance, how was security?
My dear brother, if you ask members of the APC this question, you will shed tears when you hear the facts they reel out.
No, I'm not talking
No,
about
I'm going somewhere.
what it has degenerated.
I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere.
As at the time they inherited government, how was security?
I was happy when Buhari became president for one reason. I felt that if the killings were going to be reduced and stopped, that alone, I could put aside the fact that I was not his supporter or I didn't vote for him. But if he was going to check that, I'll be happy about it, because nobody is glad to see killings of Nigerians. But sadly, and regrettably so, it has worsened today. Before, those of us who live in the north were like, okay, if it gets so bad in the north, we'll go home to stay at home. But now, even our villages have become death traps for villagers.
Okay, but I was expecting you to also appreciate the fact that as at the time President Muhammadu Buhari took over governance, there was high insecurity.
No, it was going to go down naturally. Let me tell you why.
To a great extent,
let me tell you why.
Was brought to.
It was brought down. It was brought down because of the weapons purchased by the previous government.
Okay, good. So that happens to be a laudable point.
No,
a laudable.
Do you know?
Because at that point,
yes.
Let me also take your mind back to before the elections of 2015, where several persons were saying that the whole aspect of insecurity was being politicized, just to discredit the then president.
Yes.
Now it's degenerating to that extent because we have the coming election. So don't you think this is also the handiwork?
Not at all.
Of politicians trying to discredit the president leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari?
These killings have been sustained since Buhari became president. Although, yes, it was there before. But the herdsmen attack, the Fulani militia, ravaging the entire nation today, has been sustained. It's not about the elections.
Not ravaging the entire nation.
No, it is. Because, let me tell you why, sir. No, because there is no state today where the governor has not, in one case or the other, cried out about the attacks of the Fulani militia in his state. There is no state. There is no governor today that has not made such a plea asking for security to be beefed up in his state. That was not the case before. Before, we had the feeling of this Boko Haram, terrorists, were tackling them in the northeast. That was where they were concentrated. Before, we didn't have people being killed in Ugboa, east and northeast. We didn't have people being killed in Use, in Ego. We didn't have people being killed in all parts of the country. And today we are seeing what many people call a genocide. And this is it. I do not hold any person, I would not agree with any person who tells me that it is political. Because we have a leadership. If it is political, those behind it, are they invisible? Can they be arrested? If it will stop the killings, not about the elections now, about the lives of Nigerian people, that is the primary purpose of government. So if anybody in government can be so, let me use the word unreasonable, to say that it's being political, that is professing your failure. That's announcing your failure, that you have not been able to save the lives of Nigerians. And it's a shame on everybody. A shame on the government. Well,
this is not to raise sentiments. Thank you very much, Follow You Sibo. Thank you, Comrade Cosmos Irabo. Well, we've been on the reformed APC, which is a split group of the APC, and reasons for all of this. And I've been discussing with Follow You Sibo and Comrade Cosmos Irabo, who have been talking about the aspect of failed leadership as they perceive it to be on the part of the present leadership. And well, we'll take this to another level, but don't forget that you can follow us on website at www.itvradioNigeria.com, and also on Facebook, like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/itvradioNG. Follow us on the various social media platforms and contribute to this program. And whatever you contribute will go a long way to shape on the questions that we'll be asking this gentleman and the platform with me as we discuss this. We'll take a break now. Don't you go away.
Brought to you courtesy Independent Television and Radio.
Thank you for staying with me on TMI Sunday, and I'm still discussing with Faluyi Isibo. Thank you for being with me, and Comrade Cosmos Irabo. We're still on the topic, which is on the emergence of reformed APC, reasons for all of this, and looking at how the country can be well fed in terms of tackling all of these issues pertaining to leadership, pertaining to governance. Well, back to you, Cosmos Irabo. We've been looking at all of these issues, and it seems you fail to recognize the fact that the present leadership has been up, ensuring that recoveries of looted funds are actualized, most especially the aspect of the Abacha loot. Isn't that a plus, a scorecard in favor of the present leadership?
Thank you so much. It's actually a scorecard, but the degree of the score is what the issue is. 0 is a score, 100% is a score. You see, it is an issue that is becoming so laughable to those who even have brains. At times I begin to wonder, some people, you see, if they have brains on their head, under their feet, with due respect to the president, some last month or so, he came out to say, even before then, that Abacha did nothing wrong. Abacha did not loot the treasury. Abacha built roads. Abacha did this and that. Now the same man who did not loot anything, they are returning the loot, and you are saying you are using it. Like I always say, out of nothing can anything come out. The so-called money you say you have recovered, before you say I am using the money, you owe Nigerians the duty to say how much you have even recovered. We don't know. And yet some people talk of accountability. Now, how much have you given out to states or to Nigerians? We also don't know. Have you even given out at all? We don't know as well. Now, the so-called money from Abacha, how much is the money? How are you spending it? Nigerians are not aware of it. So how now, what's the basis? What's the pricing that? Or even not saying that if it's well used, well, we don't even know how much and all. Moreover, you said the man did not do anything. He did not loot the treasury. So how come you are even agreeing to use what was not stolen? So that is the major issue.
Okay, well, don't forget that you can react, you can call in and tell us how you feel about this. Your opinion counts on this program, and the number will be displayed on the screen. What you do quickly is to call in and tell us your opinion about this. Well, Faluyi Isibo, what's your reaction about this in terms of the looted treasury and how it has been recovered so far, which some believe that is a kudos to the present administration?
Well, the truth is that even before President Buhari aspired for office, there's been returned Abacha loots. Since Obasanjo became president, we've been having, series of returned loots from various countries where the Abacha hid some money. So it has got nothing to do with President Buhari. That's one. Secondly, about $322 million was recently returned. And there was a squabble between the Swiss ambassador and the Minister of Finance earlier in the year. The Minister of Finance said that, they had not received the money. Or the Swiss ambassador said, we gave you the money last year, December last year. So first of all, that was the second issue. Then thirdly, we have been told that the poorest of the poorest Nigerians are going to be given 5,000 naira. They call it conditional cash transfers. That is the greatest fraud in the history of Nigerian politics. On what basis? How did we get to know the poorest of the poorest Nigerians? And they've selected some 16 states where they're going to be given this money. That is catastrophic fraud. And we must not allow it fly, because these monies are going to be siphoned by people. In fact, it is a shame that we're even having to talk about giving cash to poor Nigerians. Should that be the need of the nation today? Okay. Should it not have been used to build infrastructure for the future of these people? How do we get to know those who are the poorest of Nigerians? And how come there's nobody in Edo State? Or are there not poor people in Edo State or in Delta State? How come there's nobody in Edo State who has been selected?
Okay, we have a caller. Please, let's quickly take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and go straight to the point.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Mr. Chakti, calling from Benin.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead with your
contribution. I want to commend the speakers, Faluyi Isibo, and the other gentleman also for saying the truth to the Nigerians. One thing we must learn to know now, if we don't say the truth, we will destroy Nigeria. So let everybody say the truth. The government on ground now, they are not working. So let's tell them the truth. If they cannot retract and do what is right, then they should vacate the place and let other person go in there. Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians are lamenting.
Thank you.
Nigerians are being killed every day.
Thank you. You made your point.
Talking.
Thank you.
Nobody is fighting. So please, allow them to say the truth.
Thank you. You've made your point. Thank you very much. Well, you have the floor.
So it is laughable that we're being told now that these monies are going to be shared to poor Nigerians. And these poor Nigerians, they have no names. How were they gotten? How did they come up with that list of those who are to be given these monies? And how come over 80% of the states of benefit are concentrated in the north? You see, it is all a charade. And I am miffed that Nigerians are not querying this. Nigerians are not speaking against it. What do you call conditional cash transfers? How do we get these people who are going to be giving these monies? Let me tell you the truth. At the end of the day, sir, hold on, sir. These monies are going to be shared across APC local government chairmen across the states of Nigeria.
Thank you, Faluye. Thank you, Comrade Cosmos. But very quickly, let's let you know that this discussion will continue on our satellite channels, Go TV channel 107 and Star Times channel 130. It will be leaving the terrestrial for the satellite channels. So for you to participate with us on that, then go get connected on our satellite channels to continue this program. We'll take a break now. Do stay with me. All right. Thank you for still joining me on TMI Sunday. And well, let's look at the aspect where the financial autonomy, which was granted to judiciary and state houses of assembly. Don't you see that as a plus to the leadership under President Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, in fairness to the government, I was very glad, when that was announced, because I have been at the forefront of the clamor for autonomy of the judiciary at the state level, because what we had were just the boys who were arm twisted, by the governors, who were not able to speak up and speak out because their allowances and salaries, come from the state government. And we had cases of governors, withholding constituency funds for those lawmakers who were not on his good book. And I felt that was governorial rascality, And so, if these assembly members now have some level of autonomy, I think it's good for the country.
It's a welcome development.
Yes, I think it is a welcome development. But again, some were arguing that this was a purely constitutional matter, and that the president may not have had the powers to do it. And I think there's someone who's challenging that in court, that this is a constitutional issue where the National Assembly, has to put an input, where the state houses of assembly have to put an input, and the president cannot or doesn't have the powers to unilaterally make such declarations. But by and large, it was a good one, and I think we must commend the government for that.
Okay, great. At least we have that. Okay, let's look at the aspect of the Not Too Young to Run bill, which the president also gave assent. Isn't that laudable?
Well, it is laudable. There's no doubt about that. But are they all not issue of paperwork? It is not whether they say you are not too young or that to run that is the issue in Nigeria. The issue in Nigeria is what is actually on ground. Can a young man come and say he wants to contest for presidency? What people don't know is that the invisible work that takes place is about 95 or 99%. The one you see is just about 2 or 5%. Before you can come out now, you say you want to contest for presidency, that you'll be sure of winning. You first of all trace the sea route to some areas. You navigate to some areas. You must have been in power, or you must be attached to somebody who has been in power to raise the fund. You see, somebody who is 35, for instance, where will he have the kind of money that is needed to run for presidency if you are not attached to somebody who will eventually come and manipulate you? So it's just a paperwork. Those who are there are circulating, they are still the same people there.
Okay, that brings us to the aspect of the too much attractiveness of the public offices. Shouldn't something be done in that respect to make it less attractive?
With all the powers, the finance and everything attached to it, it is something that you can't but say it is attractive.
Yes, it is.
It is. With the one that is happening now, where the immediate past governor haven't done what you did, I don't know, you are living. They are not saying that they give you a house in so amount, so area, so amount to be given to you. It further attaches attraction to it. You see, a situation where there's really no accountability, a situation where power, so much power is arrogated to offices.
And this has been on, even under the PDP leadership, for 16 years.
Yes, it has been on. It's a constitutional issue.
They did nothing to stop it, or to reduce the attractiveness.
Say nothing was completed, because if you say they did nothing, you might be very wrong, because you don't know if they are out. Okay, the issue of EFCC, is it not something to reduce the attraction? Because EFCC is to check the exercise of those in power. It's not the last government that did that. ICPC, is it not the last government? This particular one, what are they doing? What have they done? That's the issue we ask. You see, by the time you are attacking opposition only, you are therefore saying that those who are in your party, they are doing good, even when some of them are not doing good.
Okay, we have a caller, and please, caller, ensure you go straight to the point. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go straight to the point quickly. Hello, good morning, caller. Hello, tell us your name, please. Yes, tell us your name, where you're calling from, and go straight to the point.
Hello?
Well, it appears we have
I am Harold. I'm calling from River State.
Okay, go ahead with your conversation.
I'm calling from River State.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Concerning this administration, I am not either. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I am not for APC or for PDP, but the truth has to be spoken. Let me recommend our handsome brothers over there, Cosmos and Isibo. They've spoken very well. They are good Nigerians. Nigerians are suffering. Let our president, let him as our leader, let him know what to do to balance the both sides, whether you're from APC or you're from PDP. Let him balance this country the way it's supposed to be and end violence. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Okay, Falu Isibo, let's look at the way forward in terms of ensuring that we make public offices less attractive, because the PDP leadership, as a lot argue, couldn't do this to make it less attractive, but rather did otherwise.
Well, I hold the view personally that public office is too attractive in Nigeria.
Yes.
And that is why we have less amount of intelligent people running for public office. Instead, we have money bags wanting to assume public office to accumulate more wealth. And I think it's not just about reducing allowances and salaries. It's about figuring out or restructuring or re-engineering the process for electing these individuals in the first place at the primary level. I would want to see a situation where we have independent candidacy, where you don't have to go through primaries, political primaries, to win an election, to get the party nomination, to then contest the general elections, because that is where monies are spent. Politicians spend a lot more money to get the party nomination than they spend for the elections. So when you take a loan, for example, from a bank, or you sell property to run for office, and you eventually get there, you will not hold the view that your allowances will be reduced.
Because you have to pay back
loans. You have to get those properties you sold back. So we must attack it from the root cause. Can we have a better managed political system where we have less funding or less financing of the political system? Then the not too young to run bill will make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because if, for example, to run for House of Representatives, you have to pay 2 million naira for your nomination form, how many young people of 30 years and above will be able to
really,
get such
that.
monies. People who may never have had jobs even. In a country where unemployment, youth unemployment is 34%. So a majority of young Nigerians have no jobs.
Okay.
So where would a 30-year-old man have to get 2 million naira to buy a form to run for political office in any of the political parties? So we must adjust and restructure those conditions.
But we've been on this road, and it appears the leadership of PDP then couldn't
No,
do
it's
this.
not really a partisan issue.
Okay.
It is a constitutional issue that has to be addressed, because politicians are the same. The nomenclature or the platform on which they assume political power may differ, but the people are the same.
Okay.
So that is what we need to change if we're going to move forward.
Be it in the ruling or the opposition.
Yeah, because they are actually the same people. But the fundamental issue is that let us restructure, reorganize, and reform our political system to ensure that smarter people, more intelligent people assume political office for the betterment of the nation.
Okay, Cosmo Senabo.
I just want to contribute to what he has said. Like I did say, I'm a politician. Even when you go into a constitutional issue, you constitutionalize whatever you want to constitutionalize. Politicians are politicians. Yeah. Before you contest for an election, a whole lot takes place. That's why I say it's more, the one you see is just about 5%. The one you don't see is about 95%. For instance, if somebody wants to contest for presidential election, even governorship election, you start with the Congress. You must first of all manipulate the party Congress now. You must manipulate that first. That's why you're having issue in Imo State, where Rochas is having problem. Because Rochas has his in-law, son-in-law, to contest. The deputy governor is there. So the fight is not the one you see outside. The fight is internal, the Congress. If you're able to first of all manipulate the Congress, which of course has to do with serious influence and financial influence. If you're able to manipulate that first, before you now talk of primaries. And if you are not nominated for primaries, you cannot even contest in the first instance. So it is more of what you don't see, invisibly arm twisting, than the one you see. So a whole lot of money and all takes place. And somebody who's coming as a young person might not have the deep political negative experience to do that, nor the deep pocket to also do that. So most of the time you say not too young. I see all these things as semantics, it's just language. What takes place still takes place. Even if you constitutionally say this or that, what takes place on the ground takes place on the ground. So that's just the picture.
Okay, let's look at the aspect of internal democracy, how to build that in political parties, because it appears it cuts across all political parties.
Yeah, you see, the
but
truth
it's
is
news if you tell me that it's not in yours.
Well, I would say in my own is we have sound internal democracy.
Okay, but how do we tackle that?
You see, the thing is, you check first of all, how did these parties emerge? You see, if you have pure political ideology, clear cut, then you can begin to talk of internal democracy. But from what we're seeing in Nigeria today, unfortunately, today you are here, tomorrow you are there, tomorrow. You see, that becomes something that will be a little difficult to actualize. That is the simple truth. If you read the constitutions of these political parties, quite look at all the laudable and all.
On paper.
On paper. But the actual fact, does it take place? Now, that you look at the ruling party, it happened in PDP. But fortunately, the worst is happening now. In PDP, there was primaries. You manipulate your primaries. They'll say, yes, it's even accepted.
You manipulate
you manipulate your primaries.
How do you manipulate your primaries?
Let me see you use the word. In fact, I'll say you manipulate your right.
Okay.
If you're able to influence this chairman of the party,
even if it has to do with financial inducement.
Well, I have not said so and all that, but be able to gather support to win your primaries,
whichever way you can.
Whichever way you can. That one is even a little more democratic. There's a situation where there's no primaries at all, like you're saying now. During the time of Humphrey, we talked about option A4. That has been the best system. It's expensive, but there's no amount of money you put in to get genuine democracy. That is too much. When parties say it's too expensive, you ask, what can you equate to genuine democracy? People who are sound, who are willing to render their services. You say because they are not attached to the spring of some people you call leaders, and then those people just sit and say, you come. Your father is also one of us. You come, and you come. At the end of the day, you expect them to perform. Of course, there's no way they will perform. There's no way they will dance to the details of the constitution of that party. Instead, they will dance to the details of those who have put them there. So without these things, you can never talk of internal democracy. You can't.
Okay, thank you. Follow you, Sibo. The way forward, how do we bet internal democracy in political
the
parties?
The fact is that
because you agree it goes across all political parties.
The only hope for a saner democratic system is to systematically edge out those who have been there for too long. They have the same mindsets that they perpetrate from tenure to tenure, and so we have to systematically edge them out. That is why more younger people...
How do you do that systematically?
That's what I'm saying. More younger people need to become political. They need to become members of political parties. These are people who have subjected their minds to education, to schooling, who have gotten some level of exposure to say, okay, now let's get involved with politics. Let's become members of registered political parties. Let us bring in new ideas. Let's bring in new thinking. If we have enough young people getting involved, we'll have enough old people getting out of the system. That is going to be the only way.
Over time.
Over time. And that is, I'm in the forefront for that campaign, that young people, apart from just getting your voter's card, get registered into a political party. Attend the ward meetings.
Okay.
Vote during...
But this is not what can just come so easily.
Yeah, but it's
even the money bags,
it's a matter of time. Okay. We'll get rid of them. It's just a matter of time. Okay. There's some sacrifice that we must, be willing to give. Now we're doing that. We're talking to people. We're sensitizing ourselves. We're having seminars. We're having workshops, encouraging young people, those who have self-sustaining means, not just anybody now. Those who have a means of livelihood. Come get political. If we can get involved, a lot of us get involved, we'll put pressure on these other guys and they'll get out.
Thank you. Well, still on This Morning on ITV Sunday edition, just Friday last week, we had news where the Supreme Court discharged and acquitted the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, of all the charges leveled against him on false asset declaration. Well, looking at that, Comrade Cosmos, you are a legal practitioner. What's the implication of this judgment?
Well, you see, the thing is, you cannot fault the judgment of a Supreme Court. That's the highest. To me, it's a sound judgment. It has proven that at least there's hope in the judiciary. And then it's also that judgment spoke the minds of Nigerians. Because if you want to look at it politically, myself being a politician, you discover that, if you want to look at it politically, myself being a politician, you discover that it was something that was charges that were propped up. There were really no charges. It's a situation where, because somebody has political issue with you, with due respect, that's what we see now happening. Somebody has issue with you, charge him, do this, let him go to court. Whether I flash, you don't care, but just inconvenience him. I doff my heart for Olusegun Saraki that regardless the pressure, the distraction and all, he's still flying. And I see him as somebody who is a dogged politician. I respect him much for that. He's in APC, I am not in APC, I'm not in PDP.
But don't you think that was as a result, the judgment he's having now is as a result of his ability to finance the SANs, the SANs?
It's not a shop, you see, a lawyer from
counsel with him, which ordinarily wouldn't have been done by someone who does not have the wherewithal.
You see, the law is the law. Whether you are son or there's even sons, there are some cases that you cannot handle or you cannot win in court. Whether if you like come from wherever you come from, because when it is a case is a prima facie case, a case that is clear for everybody to see, it becomes difficult for you to get judgment on your side. You understand? For Saraki's case is a matter that everybody know why. What actually transpired, because they wanted him to step down for somebody else, and he refused. Okay, do this, do that, do that, do that. He said, in the process of doing that, you make mistakes, and that's where the lawyers will go to and shred. You understand? You say he did not declare his asset before he became governor the first time. How relevant is that to now? That you are now beginning to drag him into that.
Okay, thank you. Follow you, Sibo, for the very fact that one wins a case, even at the level of the apex court, does it make that person really, truly innocent of that allegations?
The Supreme Court gave her judgment, and the court said that there was no evidence of falsification of asset declaration. That is to say, that the case brought up by the the Code of Conduct Tribunal against the Senate President had no evidence, and that was one. Secondly, the court also observed that there were some individuals who were manipulating the Code of Conduct Tribunal. These were observations of the court.
Yes.
And this is in tandem with the observations of Nigerians, just like you rightly said. We all know that it was a politically motivated issue. But that aside, I hold the view that those who have been involved one form of the other of some level of corruption should be punished. I hold the view that because you're a member of my party or I have sentiments towards you, it's not an excuse, to run away when you've stolen money. But then, is there a proper way to go about it? And the courts appear to be the most proper way to go about it. And if the Supreme Court in her wisdom has given this judgment, I think it's one that nobody can query. And so it goes to show that those who took the Senate President to court were not really prepared because they didn't have solid evidence to convince the court that he had issues with the Code of Conduct, the Asset Declaration Form, yes, which he filed about 15 years ago. So really, if you're going to look at it,
okay,
an error, according to the CCT, of 15 years ago was brought up 15 years after, simply because the man had an ambition and he pursued his ambition and defeated your ambition. That has been the weakness of the present government. The inability to unite at the federal level. The inability to lead. When there is no leader, you find this kind of issues. The president, in fairness to him, has not led well. As a politician, he has not led his political party. Where you have members of the APC condemning very sharply along political lines on the floor of the Senate or the House of Reps, that shows a failure of leadership. Where you have agencies of government, either the DSS and the EFCC, having altercations, that's a failure of leadership.
Okay, but the rule of law, but the rule of law has already had its way.
Yes.
In terms of the judgment by the Supreme Court.
It was going to go that way.
And the president really welcomed this development.
He had no choice. He absolutely had no choice. There was nothing he could say. Because the court, that's the final court.
It was appealed.
Yes, and has given his judgment.
They appealed it.
Okay. Yes.
Which means all the way it was win-win-win.
Yes. So he had no choice but to congratulate the courts and to apologize. He should apologize to Nigerians first for the distractions that were brought about, and then to Mr. Saraki.
Okay, your final words on this, Cosmos Irabo.
Well, for politics, for democracy to thrive in Nigeria, political parties should observe internal democracy because that is the basics. Outside that, it means we are going to have problems. For the ruling party, they should observe internal democracy. They came and gave us promises. We voted for them. They should keep to the promises.
We voted for them.
Yes, we voted for them. Thank you so much.
Okay, your final analysis, your final words on this.
Nigeria will make progress.
Yes.
We will make progress, we'll move forward. But I hold the view that the way to move forward, number one, is for Nigerians to come out to vote, 2019, to make their expressions known. It's not okay to campaign on social media alone. Come out that day, cast your vote, remain on the queue, ensure that your votes are counted, ensure that it's not manipulated, and resist any form of intimidation, resist any form of bribery, because if you get paid to sell your votes, you have just gotten paid to live a miserable 4 years. And I think it's not worth it. But another way, or the most efficient way of moving forward today is to change the present government. That we must do. That we have to do. If we don't do, we'll all be done.
Well, that's in the hands of the electorate, and this where we call it a wrap on the discussion on TMI Sunday. Thank you, Falu Yusibo, for coming. Thank you, Comrade Cosmos Irabo, for coming. It's up to you to ensure that you internalize all that has been said and use it to empower yourself in ensuring that government is saddled with the whole responsibility in serving you. So ensure that you are able to make government do that as much as you can. Well, the power is in your hands. You have the right to vote, continue the present government or otherwise. Much has been said here. Don't forget that it's TMI Sunday and we have other segments. Don't you go away.